As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the Temple of the Stelliations is actually a series of several temples. And we will be concentrating our exploration on the main temple in the center of the complex. We are seeking a very specific item, a very special bracelet.
Don't tell them that.
Oh, Eric, they're going to find out anyways. See, my cameraman here thinks that you guys will think I'm crazy because we're doing all this just to find this little insignificant looking little bracelet. But I assure you that this bracelet is not insignificant. And I'm not crazier than anyone else. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that this bracelet we're looking for is in fact very significant and very special. If the other archaeologists knew what I knew, they'd be killing each other to get their hands on it. Oh, let's go find it. It doesn't look like much, but it is far more valuable than anyone could ever imagine.
What was that?
It was another time bubble, piece of the past being thrusted into the present.
How do you know that?
I just do. I'll explain it to you when Rachel's around. Let's just get out of here.
Now that's a statement I can agree with.
Rachel, have you been here all night?
I didn't want to miss your return.
Rachel, I don't deserve you.
Probably don't, but it seems that I'm addicted to you.
Well, it's time.
Time for what?
It's time for you to know the truth. Eric, get over here. You need to hear this too. Lieutenant, how's it going?
Oh, take a look. This line here represents the timeline as it's supposed to be. This line here represents the timeline when the events were altered in the past. As you can see, it will expand further and further from what was supposed to happen until it reaches this point. At that point, it will stop.
Stop, Lieutenant? What does that mean?
It means that time will end. At that point, time will end. There is no future.
Do you know when that will happen?
If we don't fix it, time will end 1 week from now.
Well, is it possible that somebody farther in the future could go back and fix it?
You don't understand. There is no future anymore. Nothing exists beyond next week.
My goodness, everything just ends?
It's worse than that. When you reach that point, when we reach next week, not only will time end, but it will collapse on itself.
Collapse on itself, Lieutenant?
I mean, the timeline will start erasing itself from this point backwards, and it won't stop until it reaches where the time distortion occurred. When it's done, time will stop at this point in the distortion, and then you and I will cease to exist.
What is this circular thing here?
That's a time bubble. As you can see, 2 of them have already occurred. Pieces of the past are suddenly thrown into the timeline and thrown back again. The time bubbles will increase exponentially over the next week. Basically, time will get completely mixed up. The past and the present will collide, and you won't be able to tell what's what.
The truth is, I'm an archaeologist who specializes in a period of time known as the loss of God. You see, today, over 90% of the world population believes in God. But in just 1 year from now, only 1% will. I've been trying to figure out what happened to cause people to stop believing. So far, I haven't found the answer.
How can you know that people will stop believing 1 year from now? That doesn't make sense.
Eric, do you remember in Lithia, I said that I thought I could have caused the time distortion?
I think so. The bird said that you didn't cause it, but you'd been chosen to fix it.
Okay, here goes. Try to keep an open mind. I swear, this is the truth. 200 years from now, I will invent a time machine to be used for archaeological purposes. I travel back in time to 5 years from today.
5 years ago is when I met you.
Yes, I'd only been here 2 days before we met. You see, I was attacked by another time traveler, a criminal. During my battle with him, the time machine exploded, spreading pieces of it across time and space.
Let me get this straight. These expeditions you've been running for Intergalactic Archeology are so you can find pieces of a time machine?
Yes, I came up with the idea of intergalactic archaeology to finance my expeditions. For the past 5 years, I've been searching for pieces of the time machine. You see, I have a device that allows me to monitor distortions in the timeline. I've been going to those sites where the timeline has been altered. But the time machine's not the only thing I've lost. I've also been searching for my daughter. She was with me on the expedition. When the time machine exploded, she was thrown back in time with it.
You have a daughter?
Well, technically, she's a stepdaughter. I adopted her when she was just a baby.
You mean the girl in the letter?
Yes, she's the girl in the letters we found in Lithia. Her name is Sarah. It's been my utmost desire to rescue her. But now, I think I have to save the world first.
Save the world from what?
Right. This line here represents time as it should be. Now, we have discovered that the timeline is a lot more flexible than we originally thought. These two lines here represent what we've come to call the time flexibility limit. The timeline can alter within these lines without being permanently damaged. It will correct itself. For example, suppose on my second day here, a certain young lady was supposed to be hit by a car, but I rescued her without considering how it would alter time. It used to be thought that such an action could result in a substantial damage of the timeline. But then we discovered that the timeline would just bend and then realign like this. The person I ended up rescuing would die another way, and the timeline would be restored.
Was I supposed to die?
You were. I dreaded it every day. I knew that time would take you away from me, but it never happened. I should have known then that something was wrong, but I was just so glad that you were still with me. Now I know why you lived. You're still alive because the timeline had already been altered beyond its ability to fix it. We were already on a different timeline when I rescued you, so it didn't matter. The damage had already been done. I see this line here represents the altered timeline that we are on. Notice how it keeps getting farther and farther away from where it should be. When it reaches this point, it will collapse.
Collapse?
After that point, there's nothing. Time stops. There is no future beyond that. And it looks like that will occur 2 weeks from the day I left 200 years from now.